Hi, everyone. Happy Wonderland Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in to Alicyn's Wonderland. I'm your host, Alicyn Packard. In case you didn't know, this is a weekly show that takes place every Wednesday where we sit down with people that work in animation and video games and pick their brains about their careers, what it is that they do, and just talk about life. So thank you for tuning in live. Today's host, or today's special guest, is John Bailey. John Bailey has a million different voices. He is so cool. If you're not already a fan of John's, you will be soon after this show. So I'm going to go ahead and add John right now, and we're going to get started. You guys get ready to hear one of the most inspirational voiceover stories I've ever heard. Okay, Bailey. And we're waiting. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going,
This is
my
one
friend?
of the best voices you've ever heard.
I can't believe he's doing my nerd guy.
Why is it so zoomed in on me?
Well, you know, it's like once two people are sharing the
I
screen,
get it, yeah,
it
like,
gives you less
I
real
just get nothing
estate.
but a face.
You should both back this,
I'm
back
back
it
as far as
up,
I can
you
go.
know? It is so good to see you, John.
You
How are
too.
you today?
I'm good.
I love
Sometimes
your
I
hat.
drive through your neighborhood and just wave at y'all's houses.
Just rando houses. That's
No,
amazing.
sometimes I go through your neighborhood and just wave at your house because we can't see each other anymore because all the quarantine restrictions.
I know. I feel like I'm sponsoring LaCroix just by taking a very obvious sip of
And
this.
apparently I am Aquafina today.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
I had Melissa Hutchinson on last week, and we actually had a cocktail. I think maybe we need to do a new series called like Wonderland After Dark, where it's just.
Well, I do have many bottles of aviation gin.
Why?
Because Ryan Reynolds really likes me for some reason. I don't know.
Oh, so he sends you gin?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wait,
Yeah.
tell us that story. I know you do a lot of voice matching for Ryan Reynolds. You do a lot of everything, actually. That's one of the things I'm sort of most impressed by you is just sort of the breadth of your work. You work in promos, you work in trailers, animation, VO, commercials, a lot of voice matching, impression type stuff. So tell us, what is the story with Ryan Reynolds and Aviation Gin?
Yeah, I have to be a Swiss Army knife of voiceover because I have a big family to support. So in order to keep that insurance.
Yeah.
There at some point, I think I started tweeting Aviation Jan and Ryan Reynolds, and he was already familiar with my work because of a collaboration on the Deadpool on his trailer. And so they were doing he was trying to come up with slogans for the Aviation Gin. And it was like him doing a whole bunch of terrible slogans in a row, which is kind of the style that I do my content in too. It's just like improv through a bunch of stuff, you know, like
terrible,
like every Will Ferrell movie, you know, that kind of thing. So I think I tweeted something to them, and Aviation Jid said something about, we would love to hear you say this. And I was like, well, instead of just saying it, like I should really like do it, you know, just go. So I actually filmed it in the booth. I got one of my wife's like scarves and try to make it look like an ascot, you know, like super with the pinky and everything. And
wow.
So a suit on, the whole deal. And then I said it in a really good, movie trailer voice, and then posted it back. And then Ryan Reynolds tweeted back after that. They were like, "This is amazing. We're going to make this the ringtone for all the Aviation Gin employees." And Ryan tweets something to the effect of, ringtones. I'm making this the ringtone for my funeral. I don't know what that means, but this is awesome. And the next thing I know, they are messaging me about, it's like, hey, the boss wants to send you something. Can you give us your address? And I'm like, cool.
Someone's saying they can't hear a thing.
I can hear you.
I hear you. Anyone else having issues with sound?
Maybe Vale's just got his
Kind of
stuff
now down below. We're just going to proceed as if. Sorry, Vale.
Well, I went live right before this, hoping that might boost some numbers. I don't know if it works or not. I really haven't
Get
figured
him
out the
over
algorithm.
here. Did they tell you did you tell them where you could find us?
Well, it's when I go live with somebody, when somebody they follow goes live, it shows up as they're live too. So they don't, it automatically shows up. But I have not fully figured out the algorithms and things and all the tricks and for all the Instagram stuff. If
Yeah.
this is TikTok, I'm a little more proficient.
Oh, hey
I got in
now,
early.
you cheating on us with TikTok?
I got in at the ground floor, so I understand that one a little bit better. I was very late to the party with Twitter and with Instagram, and honestly, all the other ones too.
I just now.
Tadlock said, "You look beautiful," and I concur. She always looks amazing.
Oh, thank you, Tadlock. Just making me feel good on the inside.
But she's just as talented as she looks too. Just so no. I know this is your show. I'm sorry.
No, well, what's so funny is that the first time I met you, you had asked to interview me on your YouTube show,
Yeah.
and that was probably like 8 or 9 years ago.
It's been a while now.
7. It's been a while.
Yeah.
So it's good now. Tables are turned, and I can kind of, return the favor / do you like interviews, by the way?
Well, I was about to say, like, I've been getting a lot of interview requests just in the last couple of months, and I really don't know why. It's like nothing's really changed that much for me, at least not recently. I mean, I could see if it was a combined thing. It's just been a long time, or I don't know, but just all of a sudden people are out of the woodwork like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? And I'm like, yeah, okay. Why? Well,
not really, but
I don't really know.
Can't say no. Well, it's interesting.
It's quarantine. What else do I got to do?
Well, I was curious. I feel like
if you can stream, I can too, because we have the same representation. So if they message one of us, they'll message us both.
Yeah, exactly. Did you just get an audition? Shoot,
Yeah,
we gotta go.
These days, everything's male or female, so there's no.
Yes,
they're
any age, really. We don't want to discriminate or draw the line.
Yep.
So, John, I want to, as we get started, start at the very, very beginning, because I think that you have one of the most inspiring stories of any voice actor I know. Now, I know that, in your 20s, you were living in Mississippi, you were flipping burgers and running a forklift, just had dropped out of college, no shame there at all, but things were not quite exactly
I dropped out and found out the truth about the college I was going to. That's a totally different subject. That's a little misrepresentation. They did not inform me, or at least I did not understand that there was only one kind of degree to get from that school. And so when I found out that my degree would only be good for a teaching education and doing it in their church / school, and I'm like, that's not what I want to do. So, and I was 3 years in, I'm like, well, poop, this is not, and it's not accredited. So what good was it going to do me? So I picked up online and finished it. I did finish in community college, and I got my degree. So stay in school, kids.
But, then you basically, so your wife was saying, this is your passion, you love doing voiceover, and you started making YouTube videos, and then kind of take us through your path from there.
Well, she's a lot more responsible than that. What initially happened was she's the one that kind of encouraged me to do more YouTube stuff when it first came out. She'd seen something on Oprah, and she's like, well, if it's on Oprah, then John's got to do it. But back then, getting the hardware to put together a computer that would be able to do the kind of video stuff that I wanted to do was not cheap. It was thousands, and we didn't even make that much money. Like we made nickels compared to what I make now. And I didn't, so I was little late to the party,
but that's amazing. I mean,
so anyway, the thing happened when I was at work. I think at the time I was maybe at Chick-fil-A flipping. I was a kitchen manager, and she was making a MySpace page, and an ad popped up back before they had pop-up blockers, and it was for a local studio. I don't know if you've ever even heard of this, but StudioCenter.com.
Yes, but
so
I guess I didn't know it was near Memphis.
Yeah, they had like 5 locations across the country.
Okay, there's one in Texas, I think.
Yeah, and they had one in Memphis at the time. They don't anymore. It's been a long time since. It's a Braille Institute now. But when my wife saw that they had a Memphis location, she's like, John can do it, because that's in our own backyard, and we really didn't know about online stuff. There wasn't a lot of information about voiceover back then. Memphis is not really known for anything other than blues and barbecue and bullets. So
the 3 Bs.
Exactly. So I went down there and tried them out, and they were just kind of like, whoa. So they gave me a shot, and I think by the end of the year, or at the beginning of the next year, they gave me a contract to sign, and then they started sending me auditions the February 1st, the following month, and by February 11th, I booked my first gig.
Wow.
It was all non-union at that time, but the rate was still way more than I was used to getting paid for doing 80 hours of forklift work.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And
Yeah.
so,
She was the one that said, she was like, the worst they can do is say no. What do you got to lose? Because at first I was just like, eh.
that is
So
a pretty
yeah.
epic story. And
Yep.
so then tell us about your transition to Los Angeles.
That took a little time. It was really rough at first. I mean, you don't just, I didn't know how things worked. So I found everything the hard way. Like it was all trial and error from the very beginning. I did not know you could just jump into it full time, so it took me a while before I really found my footing. But
Mhm.
once my first manager found our manager,
Yeah. We
that
have the
kind of
same manager.
transitioned me to a different tier,
Hmm.
and then they helped put me with my current agency, which again, I kind of just slowly climbing that ladder. And when my agency kept telling me that you would do better in LA. And at the time, I just thought it was something that agents tell somebody who's not booking a lot, or why they're giving them an excuse not to submit them. Maybe I was still too new, whatever. I just assumed. And our manager just kept telling us, no, you don't need to come here. You can do everything that we do from there. So all the ADR, the trailer, the promo stuff, I could do everything remotely. Didn't really need to be in LA.
Hmm.
But honestly, coming out here really did, it kind of boosted everything overall. I mean, it also increased the ADR stuff that I do. I started doing loop group stuff, background voices for film,
Hmm.
TV show, dubbing series on Netflix and things. So, but
Yeah.
it took a few years. There was a situation with our autistic kid, and we realized that if we didn't get some help, that may be no coming back from it, because there just not the resources and services in Mississippi that there are here.
Yeah.
So we realized that my job and his situation both would work best in this town. And yeah, within the first couple of years, things just, I was told it takes about 3 years, but I was lucky to survive the first one. And within 2 years, I was like, jobs were just coming at me.
Well, you came here and you already had representation.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge obstacle. And
It took a
you've
few
been
months to
working.
really like, oh, he's here and he's in person. And
Yeah.
I think the more that the social media, the more the online things that I work on, which they're still voiceover jobs, but they're not. It's considered new media, and a lot of people don't understand that just because you hear a voice in a YouTube video, that doesn't mean that this was one guy who made this whole thing and posted it himself. It's not my channel. It's not my video. I'm just the voice, and there's a whole team of people that put this together. That's why it's so well done. So there's a little bit of a disconnect between people who understand that and the other side of the voiceover business. So I've always tried to keep them separate, but as that kind of grew in popularity and became more mainstream, that
Hmm.
combined with my own social media content, people in the industry that are looking to hire voice actors were wanting to hire epic voice guy. But then they realized that there's John Bailey, the voice actor, and holy crap, he can do all this other stuff. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, more doors started opening. I was able to do more coaching, because a lot of the coaches you can do here, you cannot do. Of course, now in quarantine, everybody's doing it online, but
Sure.
at the time, you couldn't
Yeah.
do it without being here in person.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
That's
wife's answering all the personal questions, folks. Yes, my favorite color
Mandy
is purple.
Land
Thank
one.
you, Amanda.
Okay. Yeah. So how many kids do you have?
Four.
Three, four. Four kids? Four.
Well, they're not
Um,
kids anymore. The youngest one turns 13 in a week and a half.
Geez. Wow. I haven't seen them since Comic-Con, I think.
Yep, this is
The
what
last
happens. This is
time.
what you're going to look like. And
When I have three more.
after they turn into a teenager, this is where you're going to be.
Yeah. I
But
know. It must be really challenging. Are they
I used to be
homeschooling right
cute
now?
when they were babies. I was cute too. I had hair.
Now you
I
got a
was
hat.
skinnier. I had more muscles.
So, so are they homeschooling right now with
Yeah, they've
quarantine
been
and stuff?
doing homeschool, digital
And
digital school, which been
even
a bit of a learning curve, to be sure.
yeah, I mean that must be so much on you and your wife.
Yeah,
Are you going crazy?
it would be a lot for one or two, but for four, and one of them special needs, and
Yeah,
they're two in each school, but they're all in different grades. So yeah, it's a lot.
that's a
I
lot.
mean, I still have to manage. My wife's now working from home, and
Mhm.
it's like I'm trying to manage basically two careers, and she's trying to do her business, and we're trying to help them with school. And like it's very hard to be that on deck all the time, 24/7. Every kid kind of seems to need, and my wife included, like everybody needs to have me help them at some point or work with them in some capacity. And it's hard to do because I'm the guy at the circus spinning all the plates, and I got a lot of plates going.
I was gonna say, I think, you are far and away one of the most prolific content creators that is a voice actor on the internet.
I agree with that. I try to get more voice actors to do, even when I coach, I'm like, you should try to do something with social media, because I think there's a way to integrate something that's either your hobby or your passion with your talent and to create your own thing. And I've seen so many different people do it different ways. There was a guy who used to be nothing, and he was doing creepypastas. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is, but it's basically a scary story read to creepy music and weird pictures on YouTube. Ooh. And all of a sudden, his voiceover career just exploded because he found a thing, you know. And so I've always been the kind of person who thought where you should take something that, you know, everybody's familiar with something that you're really good at, and just push those two things together. And when I found a way to just combine different things that other people already did and staying in my house, staying in my lane, and there's an audience out there. If you join TikTok today, there's enough people out there that are already fans of you that you would have thousands of people following you in no time as well. And I keep telling a lot of voice actors this that aren't doing social media, it's like, even if you don't understand it, at least try it a little bit, even if you do the very basics. Yeah. Rob Paulson's first TikTok video had 5 million views before he even changed which I helped him change his username from user 9476732. Everybody thought it was a fake account. I actually checked.
They're like, this guy's amazing.
Get like a verified check mark and
user trending on Twitter. User 36759.
I know. It looks like such a fake account too.
They're like, this guy's ripping off Rob Paulson. He sounds.
Well, a lot of people do that too. It's scary how easy it is for some celebrities to get check marks, and then you find out that wasn't even a real celebrity. That was just somebody posting all of their stuff. They just did a really good job of making it look like it was, you know, a real account.
Yeah.
There's enough people on there now where people are starting to kind of police the fake accounts. I'm always looking for people that are like poaching videos of friends of mine and stuff. And like, I see a lot of Howie Mandel's and my buddy Alex, his son, like taking their videos and posting it as really him, just trying to get views and likes. And I don't really, what do you get out of that anyway? Like, you don't get to keep that. You're going to get busted at some point.
It is a little bit twisted. I mean, if you think
weird.
That you get an ego blast off not your stuff.
Yeah, it's so lazy.
Sorry, just saying hi to my friend. You're saying. Yeah. Look at you. Look at that pretty little light in your eye.
Oh, that's a ring light. Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful.
I know, yours looks better. Yours looks like a music video. Mine,
I'm looking a little shiny.
I just looks like I've got, you know, an alien virus.
You know what? Let's enough with the ixnay on the iris day. Okay.
Don't worry, it's not Corona. Okay.
Oh.
Frankly. You're like nails in a chalkboard. I'm melting.
Okay, but wait. We were supposed to rewind back to the beginning because I want to know. So YouTube. So you started this YouTube channel. You start posting. Which came first, your YouTube following or Honest Trailers?
YouTube. I did YouTube on my own first, and I didn't really know what I had. I just kind of had, you know, I just made content, and there was no real rhyme or reason. There was no real flow or specific brand. Nobody really knew what they were doing. We were just posting content. What's funny is, looking back on it now, that's exactly what TikTok is. There's no real theme. Like, once you find a theme, most people will stick to it. Same thing with Instagram. It's just random. Like, it's one person posting a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, so the link between the things is the person making the thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I was doing YouTube that way back then, but back then that is not what worked. And I really didn't know that, but I did get a lot of views because I did a lot of Optimus Prime. Like, I did a lot of Transformers dubs, just funny stuff that I did to all the character voices. I'd write the stuff myself. And I kind of came to be known as like Internet Optimus Prime or YouTubemus Prime. And that created a little bit of a kind of a Transformers fan following. That's kind of where my whole basis came from for that. And then after I started getting interested in the trailer voice and branching out, doing other voices for stuff, I put together this video that my first manager had found online after Don had passed away, but I'd made it a few years before, of me doing, I wrote my own movie trailer with broken into five or six different genres and did a trailer for each one. So I did Hal Douglas for one and Ashton Smith for another one, and just kind of went down the road. And my first manager was kind of like, holy crap, not only does he sound like those guys, he actually knows who those guys are. And this was in 2008 or 9, or no, 2010, I'm sorry. So he was like, nobody knows who Ashton Smith is. And he contacted, or he had his booking agent contact me. He's like, we'd like to try you on some stuff.
Take it down.
Yeah, they tried me out on a few things, and he was like, "Yeah, you booked like 3 out of 4 of these." He started off by saying, "Right now, you're kind of just doing impressions of other movie trailer voices,
Mm-hmm.
and we think you have a lot of raw potential, and we would like to work with you to kind of develop your own movie trailer voice, like the John Bailey voice, where other people are trying to imitate you, not just you doing Don's voice or you doing Hal's voice or whatever."
Which is
So
pretty unusual. I
yeah,
mean, you don't hear a lot of that kind of story
he never
where somebody
managed
comes to
anybody
you.
before either. He just owned a trailer house and over by the Grove at the time. And he just, thought I had a lot of raw potential and kind of wanted to be part of the whole I discovered him story. There's a lot of people here and there. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rick Party, who used to run voiceoveruniverse.com, but he kind of feels like responsible for that. He found me on YouTube and featured one of my first big trailers was the Book of Eli Blu-ray trailer. And he featured it on the main page, which coincidentally led to some weird stuff. Somebody
Ooh,
called and threatened
tell us
to
more.
like put me in prison for breaking SAG rules over that. And when I asked my manager about it, he said, "We actually know who you're talking about, and that guy's actually an agent, and one of the guys that he represents, we usually hire him, and we didn't hire him for this." And he probably got mad when he saw the spot and told his agent. His agent tried to scare you, and I was like,
Drama.
"Geez, what is the Sopranos?"
Welcome to the world of voiceover.
Yeah, they don't tell you about all that at the panels and Comic-Con.
No, I don't think. Yeah.
Anyways, that was a long time ago, and that hasn't happened since. But that was I was like, what is going on?
I'm noticing below that there's some really good questions for John. So I just want to encourage everybody, if you have questions, do you see the little question mark at the bottom of the box, at the bottom of the screen? Go ahead and type your question in there, and then at the end, we will circle back. I've written a few of them down, but if you go ahead and write them in there, that would be great. For anybody that's just tuning in, this is Alicyn's Wonderland. It's a weekly podcast. Hi. Today we're interviewing John Bailey, but every week we have different people that work in animation and video games, voice actors, produce voice actors. You don't usually hear it pronounced like that, voice actors as opposed to voice actors. Writers, show creators.
Yeah, think outside the box. Everybody else is going to do it the other way. You did it the right way.
But we're both in boxes. Like,
that's true. I'm in a glass cage of emotions.
But yeah, you can follow my page and subscribe for updates. Probably, John, you probably know how one would actually do that.
Yeah, they can click your name up there at the top and follow that user right there. There you go.
There you go. Okay, so cool. So you made the transition to LA. You're producing content. You're booking and getting more and more stuff. What's been some of your favorite roles that you've ever performed?
Well, I mentioned that Transformers was a big inspiration and kind of a big part of my initial social media fan base. At one point, our agency reached out to me and said they're looking for a sound-alike for Optimus Prime. And first, I always do what I always do, and I'm like, well, if Peter Cullen wants to do it, I don't want anything to do with it, so don't even bother. And they're like, no, he's already said he won't do it for scale, so if you want it, you can try it. And so they sent off my demo, and they booked me for the ADR, just the normal sound-alike stuff. So that was big. Even though I know it was just scratch, that was a huge deal for me because I was like, I'm getting to work on Bumblebee movie. And while I was there, actually, I think CSD's first sent out auditions to us for some Transformers characters, if I remember right. But then there was some weirdness where I kept getting the same audition from different places, and they said it was switching studios. Some stuff I really didn't understand and never heard back, so I just assumed nothing happened. And then the last session I was there, they said, while you're here, we'd like you to record for some other additional voices. And I'm like, I bet that's what this was, which is so weird that I'm back trying it out for the third time. And but unfortunately for me, I was sitting next to Steve Bloom, who's been working on Transformers for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to know which characters you voiced already, which ones you booked. And I haven't booked but one. And I already know that somebody else is going to be doing that voice. Right. And so Steve Bloom's like going, done it, not done it. So like most of them he had already done. So I get in there with like 2 or 3 guys that I'm not very good at, and I record them. And before I left, I was like, would you mind if I recorded for some of these other guys? Because I've been doing Transformers sound-alikes since I was a kid. For 35 years, I've gotten pretty good at them.
Good on you for asking for the opportunity.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And after 2 or 3, he was like, John, you're blowing my mind. It's like having the cartoon right here live in front of you. You sound like your original thing. And in the original, we somehow managed to miraculously get the very first screening by accident. We didn't even know what we were seeing, but by accident, we got a screening for the very first screening in the U.S. of Bumblebee before it was finished. Way before
What do you
it came
mean
out.
you got a screening?
You know, the premiere screening.
Oh, you got
thing?
the screener. Yeah.
Yeah, the screener. And so we went to the theater, we not knowing what movie it was. It was just one of those bring kids of this age. So I had my youngest two, Tyler and Haley. Tyler's like, yeah, so Tyler's like the biggest Transformers fan of the group. And it said if you like movies like Avengers or Batman, that you know, this is the kind of movie that this was going to be, an action movie, whatever. And then the guy comes out and he looks like Tim Gunn. He's all in a white suit, you know, like from top to bottom. And he's like, congratulations, you're the very first audience in the U.S. to see the Bumblebee movie. And my kids are like, whoa. And I had no idea at the time what I was going to finish on. I had no clue of anything. This was just a screener. I got a paycheck out of it. Yay. And then they play it, and the opening scene wasn't quite finished, but a lot of the voices that were in the scratch were me, including Optimus Prime for this version. And my kid, that's something that my kid and I will never be able to do again, except for that one time.
Oh, yeah. Well,
then, of course, he was like, what does this mean, Dad? It's like, it probably means nothing. This is just temporary stuff. But then when Kathy, our agent for animation, she let me know, I think it was right at Halloween or close to Halloween, that I was going to get not one, but two of the roles in the final version of the film. And then when I found out which ones they were, they're my actual two favorite characters out of all of the characters in Transformers, my two favorite ones. I've voiced my top three favorites already. And I did all, and I also crossed up a huge bucket list because as a kid, I'd always wanted to be a Transformer voice with Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime in an official real Transformers project of some kind. And this just checked off every list. My name's like sandwiched right between David Soboleff and Greg Griffin and Steve Bloom and Peter Cullen. I was like, yeah, I know those people.
Hey guys, it's me. Aww.
I tried not to be that kid, from The Simpsons, like, I like to touch my private area, like the creepy weirdo.
But you couldn't help yourself.
I should try. I should get an Oscar for how cool I actually played it. I was like, oh, hey, what's up? I was.
So hopefully they're not listening to this podcast.
I tried so hard not. I bet my face must have probably been redder than this because I was trying so hard not to geek out. At the same time, I was trying to act like I'm supposed to be there. And just all nonchalantly, whatever,
I think your skin looks pretty on fleek right now.
Is that what it is?
Very smooth, not very.
I tried to pick all the fleeks off. If there's any left, maybe I can,
No, still covered in fleek. Covered.
We should do what Taika Waititi and Mark Ruffalo did when they did a live stream. Like he did the bottom half of the mouth, and he did the top half of it. In a world where one.
Oh my God, this is so
hilarious.
Great.
My name is Alicyn Packard. Watch my live streams.
That is going to be a profile picture. Sorry, I just thought I heard a mom out the window.
My wife was actually telling in the comments, we took the whole family, and she was sick as a poor thing was so sick. But when the movie came out, we took the whole family to see Bumblebee, and it was just such a huge moment. And then, of course, when we didn't know at the time whether it was going to be an on-screen credit or not, or just additional voices. And there's my name, and right there with all the other voices. And then my whole family, nobody else in the theater but us. They're like, ah!
I think my kid and my husband, I think, are going swimming. I was I keep hearing
ghost.
You kind of hear your kid's voice anyway in your head a lot. Yeah. So I thought it was that, but no.
I plan on making some content, a series of content-based videos based on the Ghost Hunter shows, but instead of ghosts, it's just children. Because if you really think about it, everything can be explained by children. Doors being left open, lights flipping on and off, little kids' footprints after bedtime. It's just ghosts.
Strange noises.
Kids, yeah. Little girls whispering, yeah, they're just up past bedtime.
Something in the closet.
They left the fridge open. And I want to go even further. It's like, you can tell they've been here because the table is still dirty, even though I told them to wipe it down hours earlier.
Where did that Band-Aid come from?
I know, right? And I want to get my kids involved and have them run by the door. Like, did you see that? I swear there was a kid, guys.
Yeah, I can hear them out there. So yeah, any other dream roles or areas of voice acting that you want to pursue?
I still would like to.
What's on your vision board?
I'd still like to be a regular on like a network series. I'm still in the additional voices stage and just barely scratching the surface in animation. Done plenty of video game stuff, but not like a main video game character, which would be really nice to be. Came close a few times, and yeah, that's pretty much the main type stuff that I'd like. And I just like to continue doing what I'm already doing now, just like more of it. But yeah, Ghost Kid Adventures. Yeah, Aaron, you're right.
Ghost Kid Adventures. Tell our listeners about some of your. I'm gonna.
Corona. Ah!
You got to go into the.
I downloaded a computer virus.
Now you.
Yeah. Wait, what was the question again? Was it about
dream roles?
Dream roles. Okay. For some reason, I thought we were on where they can find me on stuff.
What do you think we were on? Maybe I got.
Well, I mean, I worked on some stuff. I can't go into any details, but I've worked on a really fingers crossed, good looking pilot that I would love to work on, and it would keep me really busy. I'd be working with one of my favorite people that I was already a fan of, making really, and I can't say who it is, but he's created a couple of my favorite shows and worked on some of my favorite movies. And he calls me his new super weapon when it comes to voiceover stuff. And that's a big compliment coming from most people, but it's a huge compliment coming from somebody that you like look up to and you're a fan of, you know. And I forgot to mention at the end of the Transformers session, I didn't realize until after that last session that the guy that was in the booth was actually Travis Knight, the director of the movie. And I had no idea. The guy that I was like, hey, can I do extra voices for? I had no idea that was him. And so yeah, that was after that, it was like any director like, hey, can you work with so-and-so? I'm like, yes. I worked with Travis Knight and didn't know it, and I didn't blow it. So yeah, it's kind of like Harry Potter. Like once you see that you've already done the Patronus, you know you can do it because you already saw yourself do it back in the past.
Somebody was asking for a forklift impression.
A forklift impression? There's not much to impress. It's a lot of like trying not to drop something from 2 or 3 stories up, because you know you have to pick up the mess if the pallet breaks or just
what's your favorite color? I don't want to forget that.
Purple. Purple is best color. They didn't have purple though. I'm so jealous of Debbie's booth because it's so purpley. I don't know if you've been in it since quarantine, but it's so beautiful in there. And yours is
pretty purple. Hold on.
Yeah, part of yours is purple, right?
Yeah, well, those are more raspberry, but my couch is purple.
The couch is gorgeous.
And my Yuri and Tara book.
And it looks so good with the white fluffy bench.
This is me back when I was with child underwater.
Oh, that looks like an album cover.
Yeah, it could be.
That should be your next album cover.
Yeah.
There you go. People buy just for the album cover.
So can you tell us about some of your video game roles?
Yeah, I've worked on a couple of Game of the Year winners, God of War 4 and XCOM.
Who'd you play on those games?
All the XCOM games. So, and XCOM was my first kind of big game break into gaming. That was another one where somebody had watched one of my YouTube videos and was like, he just messaged me on YouTube and was like, hey, I don't know if you have an agent or not, but I love what you did in this Optimus Prime impression video, and I have this game character, blah, blah, blah. Get in touch with me. And I was thankful that I was already with an agent at the time. So I sent them CSD's information, and it was like, because he's basically said, I get really sick of going through 500 auditions, and just like when I hear what I want, I just, why go through all that when I just get him straight, right away. So this is why I keep telling people that they should put content out there, either whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, just put something out there that can show people, because you never know who's going to watch it. And you never know how you can get booked on something. You really just never know. I tell the story because most recently, I had no idea, but it was pretty awesome. Kathy, one of our mutual agents, she's like, hey, you booked World of Warcraft. Can you go to Irvine? I know where Irvine is, but I'm like, yes, I will do anything for voiceover jobs. So I drove 3.5 hours on a quarter of a tank of gas, not knowing it was going to be that bad. And the time of the session was from 4 to 6. On a Friday, and I would have to drive back to LA through that. And then I get there, and then they were like, did they tell you how you booked the job? And I'm like, no. We were all kind of curious because I didn't audition. They said, you recorded something for us in 2011, and we kept it because we liked it, and your voice came up for something. 7 years later.
Wow.
7 years they had that audition. So you really never know.
Who did you voice on that?
Some characters in World of Warcraft, some of the creatures. I don't know remember the species names, which was one of my first creature gigs. And they were like, "Holy crap, you're really good at creatures. Have you been doing this long?" I'm like, "This is like the second time." They're like, "Really?" They're like, "You just went to like a really short list of guys who was really good at creatures." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And
I've been doing it for years.
Yeah, and we got done with the whole thing in 20 minutes flat, and I drove back like just as fast as I got there after I got some gas, of course.
And it only took 4 hours.
Yeah, it only took 4 hours to get there. It only took 20 minutes to do the job. But
yeah, and then
to drive back through traffic.
It
wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
How's your Tim Burton impression? Lots of people chiming in.
Tim Burton?
What
does it sound like? I honestly, the last time I heard Tim Burton's voice was on probably a DVD special feature a decade or two ago. I don't know what that sounds like. I don't get auditions for Tim Burton very often. Sorry, guys.
Not a popular one. No, Ryan Reynolds.
That is definitely a first. I've never been asked to do a Tim Burton impression before.
Now it literally is the pylon. Okay. What's been your favorite experience recording Scratch? I mean, I guess it can't really be better than that Transformers experience.
Detective Pikachu. Honestly, as much as I loved Bumblebee movie, Detective Pikachu was the most fun I've ever had.
Okay, so you started doing Scratch and then you did ADR? Or tell us about that.
I mean, the Scratch ADR, I consider those basically the same thing, but most of the ADR that I had done previously was not Scratch for films. It was ADR for trailers or commercials specifically.
Right.
Or it was like a Netflix series, like anime is done. So doing it for film, though, that's actually started with Krampus, with Adam MacArthur and a few other folks from CSD, and so about 10 or 11 of us in a loop group session for that. And then the three of us, me and Adam, and I'm spacing on his name, but you'd know him if you saw him at the agency. The three of us out of everybody got called back. And I wasn't even living in LA at the time. And I made a point to fly back just for that.
Oh, wow.
And we got the audition. The audition was literally speak in an unknown language for 1 minute straight. That was the audition. That's what it said.
Oh, that sounds so fun.
I did 3 different languages for 3 minutes. And yeah, next day, in fact, she said within a couple of hours, she's like, "How fast can you get to Universal Studios?" And I'm like, "I can be there now if you need me to." They're like, "Okay, you got a job tomorrow." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So that kind of opened the door for that. And then the Optimus Prime thing led to working at Paramount. And the Detective Pikachu was just through an audition. I just auditioned for it and got the job. And they just hired me back over and over and over again. It was a ton of sessions.
Was it matching Pikachu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the whole film, which was awesome. And I didn't get to see the screening for that one, but I was told that a lot of Ryan's lines in the screener were me, but I didn't actually see it. But I was also there's a couple of spots in there that are still me in the final film, and then I'm a news anchor right before the big battle that prays like the annual Rhyme City Pokemon Parade. That's me too. So
wow, you have a really good memory for that kind of stuff. I can't even remember.
Well, when your resume is short as mine, as far as cool jobs go, it keeps the short list is about this big, so it's easy to remember the cool ones. It's hard to remember all the small stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I am curious because you do a lot of stuff raising funds and awareness for autism. Autism Awareness is the organization, I believe.
Yeah, Autism Society of America is the actual.
Autism Society of America.
Charity, yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that has been having a child that has autism?
It's been this job has been a serious blessing because of our situation with my son, because we would not have the insurance that we have, which is so much. We would be bankrupt if we didn't have the insurance to pay for just the medications alone every month. But yeah, the facilities here and the fact that I'm in the Screen Actors Guild and have the good insurance has been a huge help. And being able to work from home, most people are pretty considerate, especially behind the scenes. If you're just up front with folks and say, look, they understand that our kids are not in school right now. that they're at home and they understand that I have an autistic kid up front, then that usually doesn't cause any problems. I'm just like, look, I really need 5 minutes. There's a situation. We don't want it to get out of control. But yeah, it is back to the whole spinning plates. It's very, it can be nerve wracking. It really can be, but I'm glad that I'm able to be here most of the time and that I don't have to travel far to do jobs very often. And I don't have to be gone for long periods of time either.
Do you guys get to all have lunch together, or?
Yeah, well, the kids usually eat their lunch separately from me because I'm usually in the booth for most of the day. I have enough agents now and enough content to work on that my day is pretty much, booked up until 9:30 p.m., 10 o'clock at night. My wife she's in the chat. She can vouch for you.
Yeah,
and
she
then
said
I spend
one
time
word,
with her
hard.
until she falls asleep. So I have a little window before I fall asleep. Like, okay, so I'll throw in a costume and then I'll do 30 or 40 different voices auditioning for a certain character in a movie or TV show, and anything else that I can think of while I'm in that outfit. And then I'll go to bed and then splice up the video in between stuff later on when I just find time, because I can do all that from my phone now. My phone's gotten to the point where I can do everything from it. And so that makes it very convenient to kind of be making stuff as I go and in that tiny window that I have. But usually I can get hours of stuff out of just a few minutes. When I say hours, I mean I can get hours worth of work to, editing videos and putting things together and rearranging the order. Thank you, Debbie. You're just the sweetest.
As opposed to just looping it over and over again for hours. You're like, this is hours of content.
Because it's too easy just to get up there and be like, record, blah, 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 the end, post. I put more effort into that. I try, because I've recently started working with a deep fake app. And I know the deep fakes can be used for evil, but I do not use them for evil. The reason why I like the app is because it actually has an unmovable watermark so that it's not real.
Right.
It's a new way to combine what the kids are calling cosplay. And I'm basically combining that with impressions with deepfake technology to create a different type of content. And a lot of people seem to really, really enjoy it, and it gets a ton of views. And just that and just standard basic impression videos saying things that fans request is like the new standard norm on the internet. Usually on these live streams, it's just a ton of like, do this, do Family Guy, doing so and so. Right. And just because I can do it doesn't mean I can just sit here and do it all day long. I do still have to take care of my instrument and still have to work in the morning. So it's a lot to balance when you have a kid that comes to the door every 5 seconds. Dad, can I take a picture of this toy? So.
And what about, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, with the deep fake, what was I going to say?
We were talking about the autism with Zach.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It can be very difficult because you're in the middle of recording and then you get knock, knock, knock. And it's usually over something like, I drew a picture, or can I have a snack? Or it's just, and because he's not in school with a set schedule, he's very like, I need Dad's attention every 5 minutes. Kind of like Buddy the Elf. Like, okay, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. It's like that. And it's like, buddy, it's not an emergency. Daddy has to do his job. And I understand from their point of view, especially from his, not understanding that this is actually great for my brand and getting all these tons of views and likes and being able to network as well as I have with some really well-connected people through TikTok and things is part of the job. So he just sees it as me just playing around making videos. He thinks Daddy's just doing dress up and playing just putting on costumes. So it's hard to make him understand that Daddy has to do this job, and if Daddy doesn't make money, then he doesn't get things.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to find that balance and to really know what is paying off in the long run. I think I actually took a 14-month break from all social media and did zero. And it was a dream, actually. It was like so nice to have.
I imagine it's amazing. I've been dreaming of social media retirement for years, and I can't wait till we get to the point where I really am too old to do social media anymore. And then I'll be like, sorry, now I'm just a creepy old man. The end,
You are not an old man.
No, I'm saying hopefully I'm going to get to that point one day where I'm just like, I'm too old for this.
Oh yeah.
Give me a Riggs moment from Lethal Weapon and be like,
or they'll be like people won't even use it anymore. There'll be like a new media.
There'll always be something new coming.
People will be like, what, YouTube? That's for Grandpa.
I've told my
Grandpa
wife
John.
all along. Yeah, I told my wife all along. Like we always had said, like once Zachary gets all the benefits that he needs, there's no reason to kill myself for it anymore. and I can just focus on just doing voiceover. And I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to somebody running it for me, or, you know, like a friend of mine that I met on TikTok, who everybody here would know because he's a TV show, but I'm not sure if he wants me to disclose anything. He basically said that we're stuck doing this for life. And I'm like, why do you say that? He's like, dude, Chris Pratt has to do it. And I was like, well, yeah, but he's a movie star. He's like, no, but he doesn't have to do it. He's a freaking movie star. But he's actually said, my boss or whoever is making me do this. He's like, I believe him. He's making him do social media. And I'm like, I believe him. I believe that they're people who they get contractually obligated to, like, no, you have to do this. But like I said, most people have somebody running it for them. I just don't have that kind of money. But maybe one day somebody runs it for me, fine. But
right, yeah. Yeah, and then you can just focus on the creating, you know, or even delegate. Yeah. Hey, edit this.
I don't mind coming up with ideas. I love coming up with ideas. I love working on collaborating with people and making content, because I have that creative outlet, and it kind of keeps me at peace and gives me something to do, and it entertains people, puts a little bit of joy in their lives. But doing it all by myself forever is just no. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how you find the time. To be just putting out so much material.
It's kind of like Costco. It's kind of like Costco. I make things in bulk and split them up a little bit at a time, you know.
You're like changing your shirt to make it look like it's a different day. No shame. I'm just asking. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed on Instagram, like I said, I pay attention to patterns and things. But the best, you notice my this is a good example of the pattern. You know, you got your black, blue, black, blue. With Instagram, I try to either do all the same colors in a row or all the same actor face, something, you know, but something similar that ties those three, because your overall profile view is in threes, 3, 3, 3. So if you have those pictures side by side, looking at the profile overall, it's just like, it's already so aesthetically pleasing. People are like, oh, look at that, because it's got red and then purple and then green, and it's also creative, funny, whatever content that highlights, you know, in my case, voiceover skills. But in everybody's case, everybody's different. Some people do art. Some people, you know, they make stuff. Some people just do science. You know, my buddy Nick, he's got millions of followers because he does science experiments. So, but so cool. I try to pay attention to those little things that help things do better. And but I just can't devote a lot of time to it. I could probably be a social media star if I actually was doing this full time rather than trying to, but the voiceover career for me is more important because that's what takes care of the family.
Well, I thought you were a social media star, so.
Oh, you're cute, but not really. I'm on the level that's considered a social media influencer or a content creator. But I think there's another level when you get to that, you're a social media celebrity. It's when people recognize you everywhere you go. And you can just tweet, you know, the word fart and 50 million people like it. You know what I mean? I'm just never going to be to that point. I'm happy when Dwayne Johnson says happy birthday on Twitter. I'm just like, oh, cool.
I will always like your farts.
I appreciate it.
They
smell of rich mahogany.
So I want to be conscientious of your time because I know you are a very busy
guy. My wife's here and she's not yelling yet, so.
Sedona B
I haven't eaten yet, but I do know that there's a 1 hour limit.
Sedona Deb says you're a SAR too.
That's Debbie. Oh. That's Debbie.
Debbie Derryberry?
That's our Debbie. Cope.
Oh, Debbie Cope. Wow, Deb, you look different.
Yeah, that's Sedona Deb. Isn't she beautiful in her picture?
Yeah, you know what? I can hardly see right now, but that makes sense. You know, I thought that at first, and then I didn't recognize the picture at all, so I thought it was somebody else.
She thought you looked too good, Debbie.
No, I just can't see because it's so tiny.
Yeah, I have that problem too, because people are like, "Don't you recognize me?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, but your picture's not this big anymore." I have the exact opposite problem. Like, I can see it pretty good from this far away, but then people are in full life, and I don't recognize them at all because I'm used to seeing them this big.
Right. You're like, oh, you have a body.
I know.
People want to hear your Ryan Reynolds.
People always want to hear the Ryan Reynolds. I don't know what it is. I hope you all wear your brown pants because this is really special. Brought to you by Smooth, Delicious Aviation Gin and Mint Mobile.
That's great. And now, any projects on the horizon? Now, obviously, I know you NDA City.
I know.
But what can you talk about?
NDA. I have a couple of things that I've still not been cleared to say anything about.
Anything that just came out?
I know a lot of people are tagging on something that just came out, but I've not been cleared to say anything. So I'm sorry, guys. I would love to say something, but I refrain from even reposting it just to be careful and conscientious of my NDA. But yeah, you can hear me you can hear me in Elder Scrolls, the latest chapters. I think the last 3 or 4 of Elder Scrolls Online, and a new game that just came out called Marble Knights with Christina V directing. Anna Brisbane's in that, and Erika Ishii. You guys, most of you Instagram YouTubers will know both of them. Anna's actually with CESD now as well. She goes by Brizzy Voices on YouTube. She does a lot of female impression stuff.
Is this CESD
So,
now or okay?
yeah. So this was an arcade Apple arcade game. So it's
cool.
It's pretty cool. It's called Marble Knights. So everybody's little bodies are like half marble, and it's got tons of ball puns in it, guys. There's so many marble puns. It's not even funny. But I am King Roland. And
what more could you ask for?
Cool. So he's like the narrator. I've always wanted to be the guy that is like round 1, that guy. So that was a fun gig to do. Desi Sketchy is my daughter. She's in the chat as well.
That's great. Let's see. Aaron Pollard had a great. John, can you do a trailer for NDA the movie?
Coming soon, a movie you'll never see, something you'll never hear about. Non-disclosure agreement, the movie, rated NDA. Yes, and Tyler Fanart's. One more 3 family members in here. That's my son. Tyler Fanart is my son.
Let's see. This is a family affair.
She's my daughter. Yeah, it's a Bailey family reunion.
It's a Bailey family reunion. So, John, I heard you were in a commercial. You talk really fast, but you're still totally legible, and it's like a totally iconic commercial from like when we were kids. Do you remember? Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah, the Micro Machines. It doesn't say Micro Machine, not the real thing. So yeah, I'm the new voice of the Micro Machine. Huge surprise to me. I honestly did that audition as a joke because I thought I didn't have a shot. I am terrible at reading the legal speak at the end of commercials.
Oh, really?
And I'm so bad at it, and I try so hard to be good at it. And I was like, there's no way. So I just did it, and they were like, that was great. And then it was twice as hard as a normal commercial, because if you've seen the new one, they actually deep faked my mouth over the kids' mouths, so it looks like they're saying as fast as I'm saying it with my voice. And so I had to go in camera during quarantine to go do an on-camera thing where I was recording the lines voiceover wise, and then they were filming my face at the time, and that was some work because that's not the gig people know me for, reading ridiculously fast. But thankfully we just had to do it line by line, and it wasn't just that it's line by line. They like to alliterate like a lot. Yeah. And all the words are like, all the letter P, and it's like every single one of them is a tongue twister. And I'm just like, this is the worst case scenario for a voice actor. The whole gig is like legal speak. But yeah, it's really cool.
And you have to be on camera. So not only that, you have to like actually think about how your mouth is moving and
and you have to stay really still because the camera's on your mouth. And
can you show us? Can you like get in really close and maybe talk like this?
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it was the voice of the John Machida Jr.'s voice originally. But yeah, yes, I did do a season of Graveyard Cars. Thank you, Destiny. I've been a reality TV series narrator at one point. But it was cool because I loved Micro Machines. I loved the Micro Machines commercials, and I had so many of them when I was a kid too. So I was just happy to see them back. But to actually be the voice of it was really kind of awesome.
I'll have to get Bodhi some. That's so cool. So you were the voice of Graveyard Car. Isn't it funny? I was Women Who Kill.
Well, Graveyard Cars is about where they take old crappy cars and completely restore the entire thing, which is not something I'd ever done before. That was funny because our mutual acquaintance, Mr. Vinny, was like, when I first auditioned for the agency, he's like, I think you have a good voice for like documentaries and like documentary reality TV narration. And I never ever booked it, to the point of them just not even fooling with sending me the scripts anymore. Even though I supposedly have that voice, that's average guy next door. That's the one I never ever booked. And this one worked out again. It was one of those things where again the guy was like, I'm a huge fan and we'd love to have you as the voice of our show. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, I'll take what I can get, but I'd prefer to audition for it and get it, not just be like, I'm a fan, give me the job.
See, John, I should have just kept my YouTube channel pouring out content like
I watch your YouTube stuff. I was a subscriber.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, my father-in-law was actually, my wife just mentioned my father-in-law was actually a big fan of that show. So he heard me on the show. He's like, what? That's what's
Oh, he didn't know until
He didn't know.
He was like, nobody can bring cars back from the dead like John Bailey.
Apparently so. Who knew?
Well, guys, we're gonna wrap it up because I know John has a lot of things to do. He's got to kiss each of the kids goodnight tonight. Although I guess they're teenagers. I don't know if you kiss them.
We're doing 6-foot social distancing kissing goodnight now. We just blow kisses and then disinfect the air.
You guys,
I tell you, voice actors we have to work twice as hard not to get sick, because we really need to be well, because we cannot afford to be. I mean, some of these people are out of work for months. So this is a worst case scenario for some of us, because we cannot afford to get ill on a normal day, let alone when there's a killer virus out there. Yeah, air kisses, but you can't blow them directly at somebody. You blow them away, and then
that's
circle it around.
What's great about the internet and screens.
I know.
It can be contagious.
I hang out more with friends now than I did before.
We need
to catch up and get coffee, and then we never do.
Okay, so someone asked if you could do the Beetlejuice Juilliard speech.
I don't remember that.
No, right.
I saw that comment. I mean, I can do Beetlejuice for you all day. Just say the words. Just say the word 3 times. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But I don't know. Juilliard speech, I don't know what that's referring to. Some of these movies that they refer to, it's like, I haven't seen that yesterday. I'm not going to remember that.
Right. Well, you do have quite the memory, though. You're recalling a lot of stuff.
I surprise myself, because I do not have a very good memory. So when I recall things, I'm like, inside, I'm like, whew, at least I remember what that one was.
Does anybody else have any more questions before we let John go? For any of John's fans that want to check out the show next week, let me check my schedule here. Oh, next week we have voice actress Kimberly Brooks is going to be our special guest. So that's going to be a really fun one. Kimberly has been in a million things. I first worked with her on Man with a Plan and DC Superhero Girls, and she's just in a bunch of stuff. So stay tuned for that, and you can I was
there for her first Comic-Con
follow. What was that?
I was there for her first Comic-Con panel. I was so proud.
Wow. What year was that?
This past year, like last year.
Really? That was her first? That's amazing.
Yeah. She was like,
yeah, I can imagine. That's pretty cool. Any more questions? Let's see. There's one more question. Let's see. Tim Burton characters. Okay. I think Sugar Mandy Cosplay has the question to wrap it up. Can you tell us the secret to being epic?
The secret to being epic is confidence more than anything else. It's just believing that you can do it, or faking that you can do it, whether anybody else. Because if you can make other people believe it, then you got nothing to be afraid of.
Well, and is it mostly fake it till you make it, or is it mostly?
It's like I said. It came to that was such a great illustration of the Harry Potter thing, because it's kind of exactly what happened. Like I'd worked with one of the biggest directors, and like the one of the film. Same thing with Detective Pikachu, and then didn't know until after the fact that I'd been working with the main people who were making this movie, and then working with somebody like Michael Bay was not even a problem. Like as close as you and I are, but in real life, and everybody was like, Michael Bay, like he's really scary. I'm like, it went great. And after that point, it's just like, and the other thing I did not mention during this thing was that I started doing stand-up at Flappers when I first moved here. And honestly, it is like going from fastball to slow softballs. Like the hardest you can think of to the easiest thing you can think of. And at that point, nothing scared me anymore, when it came to like doing auditions for stuff, because like when you get up live in front of a bunch of people and you're able to entertain them and make them, you make somebody laugh with words out of your mouth. That's not easy to do. And being able to do that was like, what am I so worried about nobody's in the booth with me. Like, what am I going to be worried about?
You can just be free.
Yeah.
Well, thanks guys so much. I'm actually, this is the first time this has ever happened, but apparently I have 1 minute and 2 seconds left until I guess they're going to shut it down. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I hope that you'll stick around and catch some future episodes. Debbie Derryberry's coming in next month, and we're going to get Bill Farmer in here as well. So We hope you tune in. And JON, so good to see you. Thank you
You
so
too.
much for being my guest tonight.
Bye. God
And
bless everybody.
air hug.
Oh, love, love.
Yes. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye.